So, have I got everything I need, Ollie? What do you reckon? It's doubtful, isn't it? Are you just checking that bit out? I think it might look better without tooth marks though. If I'm totally honest, we've got punches that make holes. So you're seriously going to sit there, are you? Yes, I've got the dies. Yes, I've got punches. You'd be surprised what I've got. Come on. You're going to go that way. We can't do any crafting with you sat there, can we? I know I said we were going to do a video of the Ollie show. I did say that, I know. Because that's all people watch me for. But I have to get on. I have. I've got a wedding card to put together. I have. And people can't see through you. You're not made of glass. Oh, you big softy. You are. Come on. You gonna go up there? No? Okay. I've been rejected. Hi there, it's Anne of Rosie Designs here. Thanks ever so much for joining me. Yes, so I wasn't quite expecting him to stay around that long, but as you can see, he's absolutely fine. Not quite sure why he fell off the shelf last time, but for everyone that was concerned about him, he is absolutely fine and back to normal. So I've got to be honest, this wasn't going to be a YouTube project. I've got a wedding card to make for the daughter of a friend of ours, and I just wanted something special. And I think about 3 o'clock in the morning, when you wake up and you can't get back to sleep and you start designing cards in your head. And I know you'll understand that because you're watching a crafting video, so I'm sure you totally get it. Jim doesn't, do you? No, but you will, I know. So I'm laying there thinking, oh, what size shall I do it? And then I suddenly thought, why not do a pyramid card? Then I could sort of put some different elements in it. So I started making that, and then I suddenly thought, well, actually, I'm not going to do a marathon like the pizza box the other day, but I just thought if I shared with you the measurements and the elements and how they were going to go together, it would just give a basis of an idea of a card that you might want to try for whatever occasion. They make really good photograph albums, and also perhaps if somebody's leaving work and you want a lot of signatures on a card, it's also quite a unique way of doing that, or a wedding card that you perhaps want to add some photographs to at a later date, so you could make it so that it can become a little album. So that's what we're going to do. So there isn't actually any physically me crafting, but I'm just going to talk you through the elements of what I've done and hopefully put the card together. It will involve some bits of this which has got disaster written all over it, so we'll see how that goes. We might be pausing the video. Swallowed the wrong way there. So I've started off with a 5x10 piece of Whisper White cardstock. That has been scored at 5 on the long side and folded over. So there's a balloon. So that gives me my first base card. I've then cut some silver foil paper, and I've cut that at 4 3/4. Yes, 4 3/4 by 4 3/4. So it's squares all the way. And I've stuck that onto the front of my card. Now I have to say, this isn't cheap to buy. You only get 2 sheets, and it escapes me, I can't remember how much it is, but it will be on the front of the video. And you could mess about and cut out the bit that isn't going to be seen. However, life's kind of too short, and if you're using this to make a nice card, then you know what, just go for it. But it's obviously entirely up to you. So inside on the back page, this is going to be where I am adding the page for my message. So I've heat embossed using silver embossing powder. I've used that to emboss the hearts and the initials of the couple that are getting married. So the heart comes from the piece of cake stamp set, which we're going to be visiting quite a bit during the video, and the lettering comes from the Make a Difference stamp set. So you've got a nice font here on the bigger letters, and you've also got a choice of the smaller letters, again with that nice font, and you've got some capital letters, and you've got some numbers and some other sentiments and bits and pieces down there that you may well find useful, particularly if you want to use Stampin' Up cards to actually sell. So if you use Stampin' Up products to sell cards, not display them but sell them, or give them away, is absolutely fine. But if you're going to sell them, they have to have this copyright Stampin' Up logo stamped onto it. So again, you'd find that in this stamp set, so that's perhaps something to bear in mind. And you'll find that in the catalogue, the details about that, and it's called the Angel Policy. So, piece of, I don't know if it's useful information or not, but anyway, it's information. So I've used the silver glitter paper here, and I've got cut that at 4 3/4, again by 4 3/4, and then I've cut my white Whisper White cardstock at 4.5 by 4.5. So I've got just very small borders going around my card. I'm going to attach that to the face or the back of my card using some snail. It's quite a heavy piece of cardstock, so with all the layers on it, so I've given it a nice lot of snail on the back there to make sure it sticks. Just centralising that as best I can. Just about to pick my balloon up from the floor. So the two papers that I've used are, not got much of this one left, is the silver foil one, and I've also used the silver glitter, and that is literally all I'm going to be using throughout the card. And that has got a nice shimmery effect to it, and it's sort of actually got glitter in the paper, so you will get a slight layering of glitter on your work surface, I have to say. As we have done some house cleaning this morning, I'm perhaps going to leave that in its packet. So using there's lots of layering going on here. So I've used the layering oval framelits, a combination of the smooth and the crinkled edges. So I've got silver foil, silver glitter, Whisper White, and heat embossed Congratulations, which I can't quite remember where that came from at the moment. It probably doesn't matter. Oh yes, it does. There we go. First Frost. Now again, this is not like, or it is like the pizza box that I shared recently, and you can see there's a whole load of stamp sets on my work surface. Don't go into a state of panic. This is not really about how I've made this card. It's more about what a pyramid card is, and I'm sharing with you how I've made it, but you might want to just take some of the elements from it, and you know that might be of some use. So I've cut out a number of balloons. This is where the fun bit starts. I'm attempting, because this is what you said last time, so I'm blaming you, that the balloons needed the balloons needed a bit of string. They do, yeah. So I thought I've got silver string here, but it has kind of got disaster written over it, I think, because we know I'm absolutely useless with anything involving string. So let's try and sort the balloons out first, I think. So oh, hello, you back? Come back for a laugh, have you? You can have some input on this. What do you think looks alright?
Lovely.
You like that, do you?
Yeah, very good.
Now all we've got to do is try and keep it like that. So I think yeah, right, okay. So if I stick some snail down that side and I stick that to it, and then I stick that one on the top, right, so I want to talk about this actually. I don't know if you've ever used this. You may have found it's a lovely card, but it can be a bit of a pain to get it to stick to anything. And funny enough, a Facebook group I was on, or I'm on, somebody else was having a similar problem yesterday and happened to mention it, and somebody else suggested you could cut. Suddenly felt the light go out. It was like an eclipse, Ollie. You're not going to do a repeat last time, are you? Please. I can't stand the stress. Right, so somebody mentioned yesterday as a helpful tip to maybe punch a hole in the glitter paper and then add a stamping dimensional to try and help it. I've not tried that, so I can't comment, but it sounded like quite a good idea. It can, as I say, just be a bit of an issue. So what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to glue dot it, because I did a little experiment earlier and the glue dot is really holding that very firmly. I am actually pulling that. I've really had to pull that to get it off, so I'm going to go with a glue dot. It's worth, whatever works, it's worth persevering because it just does give a lovely effect. But, and if anybody else has had better success of finding a means of sticking this together, then please do leave me a comment at the bottom of the video or at the front of the video. So I'm always happy to hear suggestions. So I'm glue dotting this along here so that I can stick it to there. And then I'm going to stick some glue dots on the bottom of this one. So the balloons I've punched out using the balloon punch, where you get the two different sizes of balloons. And I'm actually taking these glue dots off with my fingers so that I can actually stretch them to make them go that bit further. You could even stick them to your grid paper if you want to. Sounds like a plan, doesn't it? Right, let's go with that. I've got one stuck on here as well, so there you go. I think the more the merrier. So it's actually the front of it, so it's this textured side of it that it's a problem to stick. This smooth side isn't, so it's not all bad. Right, so we've got stuck that a bit further down than I actually wanted to. There we go. Yeah, that's better. It's always better when I've made one earlier. So I'm snailing both of those, and then I'm going to stick some snail across the back of my sentiment. This is where the fun starts. I have no idea whether this is going to work. But if it doesn't, I should just blame my cameraman, because he was the one who said balloons needed strings. Are you up for that amount of blame?
I'm not the one actually putting it on the card.
Oh, that's easy to have good ideas. It's actually following through with them is the issue. Who knows? So, worst case scenario, if I'm not happy, then I can just chop these off. But I've got to make a decision, and I've got to stick something onto something.
How many strings?
I've got 6 strings because I've got 6 balloons. I may not go with 6, I might chop a couple off. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? So let me put that where I want it. You're asking me questions like you think I know what I'm doing. We both know that isn't true. Right, so I've got 3 coming over here. So what do you think? Do you think they'd go? It's like a bit like a bunch. Like that sort of thing.
Yeah, they need to come to a point. The 3 into 1.
There you go.
Oh, that's different.
So we're going to sort of merge them together. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
This is the man who knows all about balloon strings. Who knew? Right. What are we thinking? Apart from pausing the camera, what are we thinking?
Yep, just bring them to a point.
That's a typical response from a non-crafter. Oh, just do that. It's not hard.
Do you want me to hold the strings?
I think we'll stick without strings. This isn't.
Yeah.
No.
Very good that was.
Yeah, the theory behind it's very good. It's the application of the whole thing is not quite coming together. Perhaps actually, oh, I can't. Dear me, just talk amongst yourselves.
Shall I pause?
Yeah, it might be an idea. It's now getting boring, isn't it? So that is as good as it's going to get. I'm actually happier with this one than I am this one, but it's. I think that's, as I say, as good as it's going to get. So we basically pulled these together a bit more, and then pinched them together at the top, and then stuck the balloons on there, and then I cut off the excess, and I've just used my paper piercer to just bring the strings slightly across. But as Jim rightly said, balloon strings don't sort of stay rigid, do they? So we're sticking with that, aren't we?
Yep.
It's about as good as it's going to get. So that's my bottom layer, and then my next layer is going to be a silver glitter layer, and as the card builds up into the pyramid shape, then the contrast between the two silver papers is quite pretty. So I've gone for half an inch. No, I haven't. I've gone for an inch less. So I've gone 9 by 4.5, and then it's scored at 4.5 on the long side. I've already done some of the decorations here. So I've cut the cake, which is the piece of cake. If you may recall, if you have been following Stampin' Up for a while, we had a little bit of an issue when this was first launched, but I've got to say, was worth the wait. It became sold out very quickly, but it was certainly worth the wait to get it back in, because it's brilliant for any occasion that is suitable, or a cake is suitable for it. And it comes with this coordinating punch, so you've got your cake stand here, and you've got your cake here, and you've got a choice of 4 different cakes. And then the little heart is punched out using the dog builder punch. So it's just that. And again, I found that really, really useful. As much as I love the dog, the little heart can be really handy to add on to sort of anniversary cards and things like that. So I've cut that out with some silver foil, or using silver foil rather, and I've heat embossed cut the cake. And then with one of my stitched shaped dies, so one of the square ones. Again, I love this set because you've got squares, circles and ovals, so all different shapes. So that's the largest one of those, and I've cut that out again with silver foil, and then I've just heat embossed one of the cakes, so it's that cake, onto Whisper White with my silver embossed silver embossed powder, and the same with the cake stand. Then I've just stuck those together, cake on top, and I'm going to stick that in the middle of that side of the card. So basically the card is going to have something on each side, like a mini marathon card. But hopefully it'll be a nice keepsake for them from their special day. Really not dropping it, so it sticks off centre. So that's that one. Again, I've used my layering oval dies on the crinkle ones here, and then I've just again heat embossed this sentiment, which I believe is from the Woven Heirlooms. So I'm flitting about obviously from stamp set to stamp set, but on the positive side, it's actually showing you some of the stamps from the various stamp sets that are in the current catalogue. You alright, or do you want a drink of water? Sure. I see we've got the director back. You're having a rest now, are you? At least you proved to everybody you could get off the windowsill without falling off. I'm just putting that in the middle of that side of the card, and then that is going to be layered onto the top of that one. I'm going to put the card together at the end, probably off camera. So my next layer is 4 by 8, so scored on the long side at 4 to give me a 4-inch square. So again, I've used the dog punch to cut out some little hearts, and this time I've used the silver glitter paper. And I've again used the stitched framelit dies, and I've used the circle ones here. So these are the largest one and the small, and the next one down, and that is just heat embossed again. So there's a lot of heat embossing in silver. So basically it's just silver and white. And believe it or not, there is not a hint of Wink of Stella in this card. Can you believe that?
No.
I have got this. I've got plenty of this going on though, so it's not.
Good.
It's not all lost. I've now lost something, but never mind. There you go. So, it had to have a bit of glitter in it, didn't it? So where have I got this one from? I've got this from my ever faithful Beautiful Bouquet stamp set, which I absolutely love, and that is wishing you a day of love and happy memories, and then followed by many days and years of the same. So there's lots of really lovely sentiments for wedding cards, also for anniversary cards, and you don't have to do as I'm doing and put them all into one card. So I'll try and get this the right way round. So we're wishing you a day, love and happy memories. Again, I am being rather generous with my snail, but I want it to, it's got to go through the post, possibly, or if nothing else, it's got to sort of do a bit of travelling, because they're getting married sort of about 120 miles away from here, so either way, it's got to do a bit of travelling in its life before it gets to its intended recipient. So I want it to get there okay, and I'm taking into consideration that they are sort of more layered. You know, I've got 2 layers going on there, so it's a little bit heavy. So, you know, you're going to this much trouble with a card, so, you know, let's be generous with the glue. So that's that one. And moving on to my next one, I've gone back to my glimmer. And I've done that at 3.5 by 7, scored at 3.5, yes, quite right. So it's starting to build up. Oh yeah, there's a spare one up there. Thank you. So I'm going to go. Where did I get this one from? Who knows? Oh, there we go. Beautiful You. I've got that one. So happy for you. And then I've got the Happy Wedding Day, again from the Beautiful Bouquet. And again, I've used the stitched framelit dies, and I've used the oval version. And that looks like the medium. So that's the second smallest, and then the third one going up. So there's 4 in the set of your circles, ovals and squares. So that's the 2 middle ones, I suppose, really. Best way of putting it. But I have to say, love this set because I've got the oval set and I do use that a lot. But with this, you've got a nice selection of either of those 3 shapes without having to buy the 3 separate sets. So I'm going for So Happy for You over here and Happy Wedding Day on there. Look at that. Do you care?
Oh yeah.
You do. So let's go for the middle one here. I think this is another job for your decent handwriting as well. Thought I'd throw that in for good measure. You see, I struggle to stick cards together. You can imagine what my handwriting's like. Going in the middle for that one. Now, because I've done hearts on 2 of them already, on that one, and I've done them in all 4 corners. That's in foil, that's in glitter. I didn't really want to just repeat that, but it just felt like it needed something. So I've gone with hearts again, but I'm actually just going to randomly stick them around. And I'm going to put 3 on each page. So it's kind of following the rule of odds work better than evens when it comes to embellishments. But I think I've mentioned this before. I have this thing that if it's an anniversary card or a wedding card, it kind of looks wrong to stick 5 hearts on it or 3 hearts on it. So I do tend to veer off of the accepted best idea or best practice of going for odd ones. But this way I can still have an even number, but I can share them between 2 pages. So what do you think of that? Not bad. Oh, could you improve on that?
This one looks to be not so bad.
You want it that way?
No.
Hmm?
You've got all the others pointed downwards.
Oh, you want it downwards, right? Okay. Right. Happy?
Yep.
Good. I like to get you involved because you never know when your input is going to really be needed. So I'm going to go with glue dots on here. And I'm taking my little embellishment to my glue dots. Just picking that up. Oh, a bit of glue dot is still showing, so I'll stick the card together. So centralise your glue dot. It's coming downwards. So what do we have? Forgotten there. You have that one there and that one there.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, the 2 at the top.
At the top below, right? Okay. Yep. This one. Good question whether if I can't manage a glue dot, whether I should actually be on YouTube. Oh, that's right. I I give people a good laugh, don't I? And we also feature a pretty cat, a handsome cat. Sorry, I knew there was a reason we did this and put ourselves through this. So that's my other layer, and finally, yeah, it'll be pretty when it's finished.
Of course, yeah.
So I've got a 3x6 is my final layer, and I've again scored at 3 to give me a 3-inch square. Heat embossed on white, on Whisper White. I've used, so I've got 2 different cakes going on here, but I thought these were both quite nice weddingy kind of cakes, so I've gone with that one this time. And nothing else added to it, just heat embossed, and I've added that with on top of my silver foil with some just some stamping dimensionals, just to give it a bit of height. And then again using the stitch framelit dies. I think that's looks like the middle 2 again. Yeah, so the middle 2 of those I've used. And I've used Mr. and Mrs. from, again, the Piece of Cake stamp set. And I've gone back to my beautiful bouquet stamp set, and I've used Side by Side. So we'll go Side by Side, Mr. and Mrs. Or you can do Mr. and Mrs.
Yeah.
I like that, do you? Yeah? Okay. So I'm sticking that on the middle. And because this is only a 3x3 piece of card on each side, I think that's more than enough. You don't need another embellishment on there. So that's the final layer. So that's our first one, that's our second one, that's the third, that's the fourth, and finally that's our fifth layer with the balloons. And so that is what it's going to look like when it's all going to be stuck together. So really try and hold it, but if you can sort of just get the idea of the layers going to be shown on here. And you could go on, you could make this a 2.5 square, you could make a bigger one at the back as well. But that in itself is going to make quite a nice little pyramid card. So the next thing that we have to do is stick it all together. And I'm actually going to do that using some, this is about inch thick double-sided tape. And literally it means that you're going to stick your double-sided tape on the back of the card that's got to stick to the one underneath. So you're not going to have any issues with this because it's all Whisper White onto, instead that, no, I'll take that back. There are going to be a few issues with this because you're trying to stick the Whisper White onto here. So I'm going to use some double-sided tape, and then just to stick, huh? I'm going to use some glue dots. You were listening. I'm going to use some glue dots as well, just to make sure that I've secured all round the edges as well. That is going to be a bit of a lengthy process, which I'm not going to inflict on you. But basically I'm going to be sticking each on top of each other. Sounds obvious, but as you stick your card down, make sure that you're sticking it, it's opening in the right direction. Because when they're squares, you can inadvertently pick them up in the wrong way, and suddenly if you stuck it like that, you've got a bit of a problem. So and I say this because it's something that I could well and true, you know, I'm just like to do that, aren't I? So I'm trying to stop myself making a mistake. So I'm going to go away, I'm going to stick my card together, then I will come back and show you what it looks like when it's finished. So here we have the finished card. So before I just run it, I'll show it to you completely. Just as far as the sticking it together was concerned, I, as I said, used this, and I've basically used 3 coming down the back of the card, and then I've gone with a layer across the top and a layer across the bottom. And if it's just been if I'm sticking it onto the silver glitter, I've been using glue dots as well. So I've put a glue dot in each corner, and I've put one on each side, and then I've put a couple down the middle just to add the to the stickiness. And I have to say it's looking quite effective, and it doesn't look like it's falling apart, so that's all good. So yes, I have been very heavy-handed with the amount of tape I've used, but yes, I know I have. I have cleared up after me though. I mean, that's a
bonus.
it's a bonus, yeah. But as I say, when you go through all this trouble, the last thing you want is for the card to fall apart. You know, before it's made the special day. So of course, the fact that you've then got a square with loads and loads of stickiness on the back of it, you don't really get a second chance when you layer it down onto the square below. So what I basically did was get the square. It's hard without having. I have one. Just pause that a moment, please. So, as I was saying, I've turned the card over. This is one I was going to be part of the card, but then I realised I actually had the glitter paper, so I wanted to do the two different ones. So why am I measuring it? So imagine I've got 3 lines of sticky tape across the back there, and then I've got one across here, one across here. If I'm sticking that onto the glitter paper, I've then added a glue dot there, 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 here and here and here and here, and then 2 in the middle for good measure. So now this is, imagine it's all really sticky, and I've got to get that centralised onto here. The minute I put it down, it's going to stick because there is a lot of glue on there. So what you need to do before you commit yourself is just layer it, hold it so you've got your finger here and underneath, and then place it over where you think it's going to go. Now, have you got a border around all 4 sides? Yes, you have. So you just gently go with the top, and then just let it just come down very gently, removing your fingers as you do. If that was actually sticky, then that would be stuck and it would be in the right place. But I just wanted to mention that. So I've had a special request that it's got to come around this way so that you can see it better. So this is the finished card. So drum roll. Now what? See, I'm not silver and white. I won't go. I was trying to stay out the picture. Just nod and I'll turn it over. And that's our final one. Now, while we were off camera, Jim did make a asked a valid question, let's put it that way, and he said he would have expected that the card would have who it's from at the front of the card. Which, yes, I don't disagree with that, but if you're starting with a very small piece of paper or piece of card, you're just about going to have room for their names and you to sign it, really. So as a single card, this is just my personal opinion, but it works better with that at the back because it gives you the room to just write in your very bestest handwriting.
Thank you.
You know, their names and our names and just a little sort of message. So that's the reason that I've done that. But of course you can do it whichever way you want to do it. And if it's being used for something where you're gathering a number of signatures, then it really doesn't matter, does it? And then possibly your sentiment, such as sorry you're leaving or happy retirement, whatever, it would make more sense to have that at the front. So very flexible card. And as I say, the point really of sharing this was to share with you the idea of a pyramid card and how effective that can be. And of course, you can use whatever elements of this that you choose in projects that you've got coming ahead. So I hope that has been of some use. I'm just going to finish this off with a piece of tulle ribbon, because polka dot tulle ribbon, because in theory this is the only ribbon that I can tie a reasonable knot with, a reasonable bow with. But it's kind of weddingy, isn't it, as well? So I think it will work. I won't have an envelope for this. I will have to get a padded envelope for it. But I might, before that goes, I might well stick a little bit of stamping on that just to pretty it up a little bit. But I haven't thought that far ahead. It's in a couple of weeks, so I will source the envelope over the weekend. It's not too bad, is it? I've seen worse. So I'm just going to trim that off. And I want a nice lot of ribbon. That looks like a nice flowing bow. There we go. So that's our project for today. So I've no idea what I'm coming back with next time, but I'm sure it will be eventful, whatever it is. Yes, there's the I'm actually filming this on the 10th of October, so I think we've actually got 3 videos to go for me to put together, so I can't guarantee when I'm going to actually get this uploaded. But as at the 10th of October, there is on the clearance rack the Everything is Rosie product medley, which was available sometime earlier in the year for a limited period. And it's just literally, and I've got to look down because it's literally appeared on the clearance rack in the last couple of days, and instead of its original price, it's now £62.90. That might sound still quite a lot of money, but for that you're getting an 18-piece stamp set, photopolymer stamp set, 10 dies, 8 sheets of rose gold foil at 6x6, 48 sheets of designer series paper, 2 sheets of printed die cuts, 4 sheets of rose gold die cuts, a melon mambo and night of navy, 2 spools of ribbon, and a lovely pot of rose gold shimmer paint. Now, if you follow my videos in the past, or there was a lot about it on YouTube, etc., Facebook at the time, and it's a very, very pretty set. So it's got this lovely rose gold theme running through it, and I remember at the time hinting that I love rose gold, but I don't have any, and as at today, I still don't have any. Such is life. But it's got this lovely rose gold theme running through it, and it's also got the lovely colours of melon mambo and night of navy, which are really a great combination. So go and give that a look, because that will really work for all sorts of different occasions. It's all on my blog, so I apologise if by the time you've watched this it has actually sold out, because obviously products are limited. But really that's just a reminder that if there is any offers from Stampin' Up, I always do a post about it. So just go on to my new style shop, because everything links now off my website. Just go on there and hit the button for the blog, and you can subscribe to that. So that just means that you will get to be notified whenever I've uploaded a blog post. You feel free to ignore whatever, but sometimes there is something there that's of great interest, so just subscribe, and then you get to read it or not. The choice is yours. So I think that's it. As usual, everything I have used today is available to buy from my online shop, and if you'd like to give me a thumbs up, that would be great, and if you'd like to subscribe to my YouTube channel, that would also be very much appreciated. So yes, I think that is. Oh no, I was going to say just something about the embossing. I did mean to say something about the embossing. We haven't done the embossing, obviously, but I just wanted to make mention of the fact that you obviously need Versamark and some embossing powder. But a couple of things that make life that much easier when you want to do some embossing is this little thing, which is an embossing buddy. and you just run that over the card that you want to emboss, and that just leaves a very fine film of powder on it, so that it helps this powder to stick onto the ink that's on here and not everywhere else on the card. So it makes your embossing neater, but always have to hand the little paintbrush as well, because that just helps you to remove any odd bits of powder that you may still have left on the card. So that really is it. So thanks ever so much for joining me, and from my very sleepy director, say bye-bye to everybody, Ollie, and from my cameraman who's been most helpful today, and of course from me. Thanks ever so much, and we will see you again very soon. But until then, take care. Bye-bye.